Rambam wrote the Yad HaChazaka with all the halachas that are negaya Klal Yisrael, even b'Moshe Mashiach. He starts off with Yisraeli HaTorah, and the end of the Rambam is Hilchos Melachim. What are halachas that are negaya to a Melech b'Yisrael? And the very last piece of Rambam will tell us, the Rambam wrote halachas. Halachas means that a Yid is mechuyev to do, either midaraisa or midrabanan. We know, we see that in the Chumash and in Torah Shabbat Peh and in the Gemara, that there is an inyan of Melech HaMashiach. So we have to know clearly how to be mikayim this mitzvah of the Emunah in Melech HaMashiach. So he gave us halachas on that, which is Perek Achat Asar and Perek Shneim Asar of the Rambam of Hilchos Melachim, and with this the Rambam ends his sefer. So today we're going to learn a little Rambam, because being that we're Isaac in the Yanam of Emunah, so one of the big yesaitas of Emunah is the Emunah in Bias HaMashiach. But that's one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim of the Rambam, Ani Mamin B'Emunah Shleima B'Bias HaMashiach. So we have to know what the halachas are. If somebody would come and say he's Mashiach or he's Mashiach, how do we know that he's Mashiach? We have to know the halachas. So the Rambam says, HaMelech HaMashiach asad lamoid al harza malchus beis David liyoshna lemamshala harishayna. He'll bring back malchus beis David. Ubaynei HaMikdash umekabetz nitcha Yisrael. We see this from Sukkim and the Torah, that from the inyanim of the Melech HaMashiach is two things: to build the Beis HaMikdash and bring all the Yidden back to Eretz Yisrael. V'chayzun kala mishpatim b'yamav keshayo mekaydem. All the halachas of the Torah. In other words, there'll be a government that will be governed according to the halachas of the Torah. Makrivin karbanos, v'yaisim shmitim, v'yayvelos, k'chal mitzvasa amura b'Torah. V'chal mi she'enei mamin bay. Whoever doesn't believe in Mashiach, or even if he believes, or mi she'enei mechake l'biyasai, or he isn't waiting for him to come, Loi b'sham neviim b'levad hu kaifer. He's not a kaifer and the other neviim besides Moshe Rabbeinu, because all the neviim talked about Mashiach, and if he doesn't believe in it and he doesn't wait for him to come, it's not enough that he's a kaifer and the other neviim. Ela b'Torah uva Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Rambam is going to bring psukim from Torah Moshe, from the Chumash, that there is that teaches us the inyan of Mashiach. Now here's a piece of Rambam which puzzles us. Now the Rambam says that if you don't believe in Mashiach, if somebody doesn't believe in Mashiach, he's a kaifer. And also if somebody doesn't wait for Mashiach, why is he a kaifer who doesn't wait? He's just not interested. Look, he's okay. He has a nice business, and he has a summer home in the Bahamas, and he has 2 expensive cars in the garage, and everything he needs and he wants, he has. So he isn't particularly waiting for Mashiach. If somebody gets up in the morning and hears that his stocks tumble down, says, "Oy vey, Mashiach should come." I can imagine he's waiting for Mashiach. But this guy that has everything, why should he wait for Mashiach? So Rambam says if he doesn't wait for Mashiach, he's a kaifer. Why? Why is he a kaifer? He believes in Mashiach, but he's just not interested so much. He's not psyched up about him. Why should he be waiting for Mashiach? Apparently, not waiting for Mashiach makes somebody a kaifer. And for that, I have to go back to to the end of the Rambam, with which he finishes off the Sefer Malachim. In Perek Yud Beis, Halacha Hey, he speaks about Mashiach, Ubaisi Azman, when Mashiach will come, Lo yiyeh sham lo ra'av v'lo milchama. There won't be any hunger, there won't be any milchama, v'lo kinna v'tachras, no jealousy or competition. Shatayviti mushpas harbe. There'll be so much bounty in the world. V'chal hamadanim mitzuyin ka'afar. All the delicacies and all the delicious things, they're around. You have as much as you want. V'lo yiyeh eisek tala olam el radasas Hashem b'levad. Everybody but one and know the Rabbi Yisrael. ולפיכך יהיו ישראל חכמים גדולים ויעידים דברם עצומים וישיגו דעת בהם כפיקח האדם שנאמר כמל הארץ דייס השם כמים על הים מכסים. So the Rambam says in short what we have in the Sfarim of the Nevi'im, especially in the Sefer Yeshaya, Meiradike Haftachais of the bounty, the pleasure, the utopia which will be in the Yemaisa Mashiach. People will be healthy. People will live long, long, long. There'll be prosperity. There'll be shalom. No war. There'll be naches. There'll be riches. Everything that you ask for, if you don't see it in the window, ask for it. Everything that a person wants will be when Mashiach will come. Why shouldn't he wait for Mashiach? Even if a person isn't interested in Avdas Hashem, it's going to be so good. Why isn't he waiting for Mashiach? If he knows that tomorrow he's going to be, let's say, elected president, wouldn't he wait for tomorrow? Certainly he should wait for Mashiach. Why doesn't he wait? Tara says he doesn't believe. If he'd really believe, he'd be longing. He'd be waiting. He'll be standing by the window and looking, is he coming, is he coming? Big tzaddikim were waiting for Mashiach. The Yismach Moshe once expected his son, who later became the Rav after him, for Yom Tov, to visit him. And the Yismach Moshe went to the mikveh, and as he was in the mikveh, and he just got out, the Gabbai tells him he came. So the Yismach Moshe just grabbed his clothing and didn't put on his socks and just ran out. And he comes on, where is he, where is he? So he pointed out his son. So he burst out crying. He said, when you said he came, I thought you mean Mashiach. He was waiting for Mashiach. He was waiting. The Chafetz Chaim used to sit by the door and wait for Mashiach, by the window. Tzaddikim waited for Mashiach. If you don't wait for Mashiach, to the degree that a person has Emunah in Mashiach, he's going to wait for Mashiach. And if he doesn't at all wait for him, you say it in davening, Ki mechakem anachnu lach. Rabbi Shalom, we're waiting for you to come. Don't say a lie. You're waiting or you're not waiting. If you're not longing for him, mechakem means I'm longing. I'm just excited. I want him to come already. If you're not excited about it, how can you say Ki mechakem anachnu lach? You can't say a lie to the Rabbi Shalom. And we say it in davening, Ki yulishi ascha kivinu kol hayayim. Every day we're waiting for him. And it says, Achakalei b'chol yom sheyaveh. That's what the Rambam has it in his Ani Maimin. So, an Yid should wait for Mashiach. So the Rambam says that where do we find in the Torah that Mashiach is going to come? Shrei Torah Yid Olav. The Torah says Aidus. Those Sedra Netzavim talks about Mashiach. Shenema v'shav Hashem alekecha shvuscha v'rachamecha v'shav v'kibetzcha v'kol ha'amim. The Rebbe shall gather you together from all the nations where you were scattered there. Im yi nedachacha b'ktei hashamayim. If you're going to be astray at the end of the heaven, and it's like a mashal where the heaven touches the earth. It means all the way down there, down yonder. Mishem yikabetcha Hashem lekecha, Mishem yikachecha. The Rabbi Shalom already told us that that's one of those things that I told you, that in the Torah isn't afraid to make promises or make predictions, because the Torah knows that it's emes. So the Torah predicts that Yidden will do Aveirus, they'll be driven into the Galus in Kala Amim, and the Saf will be that Rabbi Yisraelim will gather you together, V'kibetcha, Mishem Yikabetcha, Hashem Elekecha, Mishem Yikechecha, and will bring you back to Eretz Yisrael, V'aviach Hashem Elekecha, Al-Oretz Hashem Nishbala V'yisecha. V'yel advarim ha-mefarashim b'Torah, hen kaila them kal advarim shenemra l'dei Torah Nevi'im. And whatever you have there in Parshas Nitzavim, where he speaks about Bias HaMashiach, that's Kailu, that everything that the Nevi'im said, the Nevi'im elaborated, but that's Kailu. After Parshas Bilam Nema, B'Sham Niba B'Shnei HaMashiachim. In Parshas Bilam, in Balak, he says Nebuah about the two Mashiachs. I don't think that I'm going to have another session with you this year, so I do want to say something about future weeks. It's interesting that in Parshas Balak we are ushered in to the Yemei HaMitzarim, to the 3 weeks of Churban Beis HaMikdash. So just when you start having Shivas B'Tammuz and the 3 weeks and the 9 days in Tisha B'Av, then we read the Parsha of Bilam, and Bilam talks about Mashiach. The Mashiach Rishon Hu David, the first Mashiach, the first one, the founder of Malchus Beis David, Sheshiyas Yisrael Mikol Tzarayim, Uve Mashiach Ha'achrein, Shaimed Mibanav Shem Mashiach Yisrael B'Achreina. And it says, Aranu V'lei Atash, Aranu V'lei Karev, that's a Melech HaMashiach, Dorach Kaichav Meyankei, V'kam Shevet MiYisrael, U'machet Pasei Moyav, the Kalka Kol B'nei Sheis, and further. And it says, like it says in the Nevi'im, V'o Mishim Ba'atzion Nishvat Esareisav. Ach v'yari miklat, but yari miklat, it says in Yachav Hashem Melekechas Gvilcha, Yisafta Loit Oit Shalish Arim, and now Eretz makes 6 cities, and when you're going to spread still more, you should add another 3 cities. That never happens. If the Rabbi Shalom says something, it has to happen, but it's going to happen when Mashiach will come. But Divrei and Nevi'im, if you look at Nevi'im, Meina David Tzarech Raya, Shkal HaSfarim Aleim B'Davar Zeh. All the Sfarim are full with the inyan of Mashiach. The Ayal Al Daitach don't necessarily think Sha'amelech HaMashiach Tzarech L'Ases Oisei Samoivsim, that Mashiach has to make Oisei Samoivsim and Mechabish Dvorim Ba'olam or Mechayim Meisim, he has to make miracles and make dead people alive, or Kayayse B'Dvar HaMeilu. Eina Davar Kach, it isn't so. Rabbi Akiva Chacham Gadol Mechachmi Mishnah Haya. Rabbi Akiva was a big Chacham. He was the biggest Chacham that he even had by the Tanoim. Hu Haya Noise Kelev Shem Ben Kuziva HaMelech. And he was a right-hand man of Ben Kuziva. There was a certain character, his name was Ben Kuziva. This happened about 50 years after the second Churban, and he was a very powerful Melech, and he was in the city of Beitar, and had an army, and he went to war against the Romans, and Rabbi Akiva thought that he's Mashiach, and he announced that he's Mashiach. And then Ben Kuziva was killed by the Romans. So we see that Rabbi Akiva made a mistake. To say it a little deeper, he didn't make a mistake. Ben Kuziva could have been Mashiach, but because he did Aveirus, they spoiled it. So therefore he was killed. But Rabbi Akiva saw on him that he has the neshama of Mashiach. The Romans captured the city of Beitar and they ruined it. And Rabbi Akiva said that he's Melech HaMashiach. The Dimahu, and he thought, until he was killed because of the Avainis of Klal Yisrael. They didn't deserve it. Kivin Shenerag, when he was killed, they found out that he wasn't Mashiach. He isn't Mashiach. The Chachamim didn't ask any ice or any maifes from him. In other words, Ben Kuziva wasn't Machayim Meisim. Ben Kuziva wasn't Kaiket Agarim. He didn't make Meisim. He was just a powerful king, and he was an Ehrlich Yid, a tzaddik, and he went fighting against the Romans, and because of a virus that Yidden did, he was killed. So Rabbi Akiva thought he's Mashiach, and when he was killed, they found out that he wasn't Mashiach. In other words, he could have been Mashiach. He was a neshama of Mashiach. It's just like the Gemara says, Chazkiyahu HaMelech. The Rabbi Shalom wanted to make Chazkiyahu HaMelech to be Mashiach. But because he did an Aveira and he had a Nes and didn't say Shira, when Sanchayrev had the Mapala, he lost his chance of being Mashiach. So we see that the emphasis in every generation there's a certain Yid that he could be Mashiach. Every generation has a prepared Mashiach, that in case Yidden will be Zeicha, he should be on hand to be Mashiach. That person alone, as some Sefer says in the Tshuva, doesn't necessarily have to know that he's Mashiach. But in case Yidden will be Zeicha, the Rabbi Shalom will appear to him and tell him, you are my chosen Mashiach, and go and bring the Yidden to Yerushalayim and build up a Beis HaMikdash. So Ben Kuziva could have been that. Rabbi Akiva really didn't make a mistake. The Rambam says he was tired. He found out later that it was a mistake because it was a spoiled Mashiach. So how did he know that he isn't Mashiach when he died? When somebody could be Mashiach and he dies, I know that he isn't Mashiach. And we're waiting again for Mashiach. So that's what the Rambam says. The Kivin Shenerach, when he was killed, Naidalem Sha'ina, he said he knew that he isn't Mashiach. He didn't bring Moshe. Alright, the next piece of Rambam, it's hard to say because you see that this piece is missing. There is the Goyim. This Rambam was printed under the Russian government, and there are parts missing here that the censors took out. So the next few lines just don't make any sense. In the Ashmates of the Rambam, in the Rambams which were printed in the Sfardische Medinas, where the Christians didn't censor it, and also in the Kisviyat that we have. So we have the Hashmatis, we have the missing pieces that it took out over here. So Halacha David, V'mi'amid melech mi Beis David. If a king will get up from Beis David, Haige b'Torah, he's going to learn Torah. Haige b'Torah means he'll be Haige at a kachen in Torah. V'aisik b'mitzvahs, and he'll do mitzvahs, kedavid Aviv, like his grandfather David. K'fi Torah shebiksav shebi'alpeh. And he'll and he'll have the kayach to compel all the Yidden to go according to the Torah, and he's going to be mechazik the Keren HaTorah, the Yilachai Melchames Hashem, and he'll have Melchames for the Rabbi Shalom, Areize Bechaskas Shehu Mashiach. He's Bechaskas that he's Mashiach. And that's why when the Kuziva, who was a tzaddik and who learned Torah, and when he had Milchamis against the Romans, so as far as Rabbi Akiva is concerned, there's Bechaskas that he's Mashiach. If he was Matzliach, who burned a Migdash ben Kaimai, and built the Migdash in its right place, the Kibbutz Nitra Yisrael, and he gathered all the Yidden to Eretz Yisrael, Harayza Mashiach Bevadai. This is certainly Mashiach. So the Rambam puts two dinim over here. Chaskas Mashiach, Avada Mashiach. I'll give you a dogma. When Sukkot comes, you're going to see on the stores that the selling is Schweigim Mehudarim, Chaskas Bilti Merkavim. And it has a hechsher from the Badatz and from the Rabbanut and from whoever. Well, a Schweigim pose a problem. In the Altischotika Schweigim, like the Schweigim all over the world, merchants who had no Yiras Shemayim wanted to make money, and they try to produce a nicer esrog, and they grafted it with other fruits like lemons or whatever. It should be a nicer esrog. That's a pasala esrog. So there's dinim in chazaka. For instance, let's say that there's fleishiks cooking on the oven, and then a bottle of milk falls down, and I have a suffix that any milk fall into the fleishiks. I don't know, I have a suffix. So the dinner is the fleishiks is kosher. Because the fleishik has a chazaka that it's kosher, a chazaka the mikara, and you want to, because of the suffix, you want to break that chazaka. No, it's kosher. Or for instance, Beheime was geschachten. And then we're sitting around with the chalif afterwards, and then you find the begima on the chalif. Maybe the begima was there before. No, I don't say that. Being that after the shechita you were using the chalif for something else that could have made a begima, so it's becheskas ksheira. You want to take the beheim out of cheskas ksheira because of the suffix, you can't do it. So you're allowed to eat it. A chazaka paskin zay said it's mutal. But later on, let's say if somebody will find some milk in the fleishiks, then of course it makes it treif again. You are allowed to use it as long as the chazaka was there. The chazaka was mavara the suffix. But then when you have a fact being mavara the suffix, not like the chazaka, it's maitim et a chazaka. A chazaka is a hetel, but it isn't a guarantee. But the Torah says you don't need a guarantee. Use the chazaka. But then there's a thing which is vadai. When those rabbanim give a hechsher on the esrik, they can't swear that it's not a morkav. But somebody wants to make a suffix, maybe it was a morkav. So I say, these padaisim, since Moshe Rabbeinu were iskasha, and somebody, because of a suffix, wants to say maybe it was tampered with. So I say the chazaka kashas it. But I can't be sure, but I'm allowed to make a bracha even on it. But then there's a vadai bilti morkav. Vadai bilti morkav, you can swear on it. So there's two dinim in Mashiach, the cheskas Mashiach and vadai Mashiach. And all of this that the Rambam says, the Kesef Mishnah and the other Mefarshim, all bring rayas from the Gemara where the Rambam got it from. If somebody is a tzaddik, and he makes that Yidden, he compels Yidden to keep the Torah, and he goes to war against the Goyim, and he has Mochamis, that's a sign that he's Mashiach. He's Becheskas Mashiach. And that's what Ben Kuziva was. Well, or as the Maskiram like to call him Ben Koicha. That's what he was. But when he was killed, is Nizbar Gevar ala Mafreya that he wasn't Mashiach. The suffix was Nizbara. But then when somebody is Zaycha, that after doing these things, he has another two simanim, that Baini Yerushalayim Hashem Nitche Yisrael Yechanes, he builds the Beis HaMikdash and he brings all the Yidden back to Eretz Yisrael, he's Vadai Mashiach. No suffix in that. So the Rambam says that when Mashiach will come, it doesn't necessarily have to make Moifsim. It doesn't have to make Moifsim. If he does, these Simanim is enough to declare him Mashiach. The Raivad kriegt sich from Rambam. And he says, there's going to be Moifsim. And the Raivad brings Psukim, Vishbati Chayara, that even the lions are going to eat straw, and it'll be a altogether different world when Mashiach comes. So the Raivad kriegt sich. The Rambam says that everything will be natural, and the Raivad kriegt sich. We have to understand, the Rambam doesn't say that Mashiach can't show Moifsim. The Rambam says it's not a requirement. Of course he can show Moifsim. Even much smaller people than Mashiach showed Moifsim. We find that the Nevi'im showed Moifsim, Elianavi and Elisha. We find big Tzaddikim showed Moifsim. We find that the Baal Shem Tov showed Moifsim, and the Talmidim and the Talmidei Talmidim showed Moifsim. But the Rambam says it's not a requirement, but he could show Moifsim, and probably he will. The Raivad brings Psukim that he will show Moifsim. So they answer the Rambam that when Mashiach comes, he doesn't have to show Moifsim to introduce himself and to establish himself as Mashiach. But later on, in the later periods, there will be Meisim. In fact, we know that there will be Trias HaMeisim, which what can be a bigger Meisim than that, but that will be later, in the later periods. But the Geula can start with a Mashiach without showing Meisim. Really, let's understand. The Rambam says Mashiach doesn't have to show Meisim, but he'll make all the Yidden keep the Torah. And the Rabbi says no, he'll show Meisim. So really, when we think in our dreams and our fantasies about Mashiach, we think that Mashiach will make Meisim, and when somebody, there'll be a Rasha, Mashiach will point with his finger, and the fire will emanate from Mashiach's finger and kill that person, and to Satan, or whatever, whichever way you want to imagine it. We imagined, since we're small children, that Mashiach will make Meisim. Comes the Rambam and disappoints us. Mashiach won't make Meisim. So the Raivad's Mashiach is a more an exciting Mashiach. It's a more romantic Mashiach. He'll show Meisim. There's going to be excitement. And the Rambam makes it pale. He won't show Meisim. Well, the Rambam, according to the way he describes Mashiach, he'll make the biggest meifus in the world. Now, the Rambam in Hilchos Beis HaBchira explains that the Beis HaMikdash must be built in a certain spot. The Mizbeach must be on the exact mamish, the same spot where the original Mizbeach was, where the Akedah was, where Adam Rishon was Makriv. And even today we know where the Beis HaMikdash is roughly on Har HaBayis. But nobody can point out exactly where the Beis HaMikdash is. There's machlaikas among the Gedolei Yisrael. Some say that the Kodesh HaKadoshim is under the Golden Dome. Others say no, it's to the right. They know that it's there, but they can be off by 50 or 100 yards. It's there, but maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here. Some say that the Beis HaMikdash is mamish in front of the Kaisel Maravi, not to the left side where the Golden Dome is. Akapanim, we don't know clearly. So when Mashiach will come and we have to make a Mizbeach, it's a problem. You need somebody with Nevuah to tell you exactly where it is. So, imagine if Mashiach will come now, and he'll blow his shofar, and he'll say, Yidalach, follow me to Yerushalayim. When the Dach in B'Eretz Mitzrayim, B'Shtachol et Hashem, B'Har HaKodesh B'Yerushalayim. Sing it with whichever nigga you sing it. And all the Yidden will come. So what's going to happen? The Macy's it's a Jewish department store, right? Macy's. He's going to close the department store. He's going to leave the doors open and come running after Mashiach to Yerushalayim. Alexander's will keep the doors open. And all the Yidalach from Alexander's will come running. The whole 47th Street, the Diamond Dentistry, they're going to crowd down. They won't wait for the elevator. They're going to run down the stairs, leave the doors open, running after Mashiach. Everybody run after Mashiach, and he'll pick them up on their Nani Kavod or whatever it's going to be, and he'll bring them to Yerushalayim. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine, let's say that Sarid, that Russia from Eretz Yisrael, and his gang that want to destroy the Torah today, they're going to come running after Mashiach? Everybody would be running after Mashiach? Who'll get them all to Yerushalayim? They're going to abandon all the businesses, all the beautiful buildings that they have in Borough Park and the Flatbush with the marble frontages. They're all going to come running after Mashiach? Yes, that Mashiach will do that. Because that's one of the simonim of B'cheskas Vade Mashiach. He has to bring all the Yidden to Yerushalayim. Isn't that a bigger meifus than what the Ravid wants him to do? And he'll build the Beis HaMikdash. Supposing somebody wants to make Erev today. I don't like to talk about it, but I'm just using it as a marshal. This Rabbi will say the Erev is kosher, and this Rabbi will say the Erev isn't kosher, like you say, by Yidalach. Now there's two Yidden, there's three opinions. Now, supposing somebody will come and build a Beis Mikdash today, and he'll build a Mizbeach. And the Mizbeach has to be mamish on the spot where it's supposed to be. It's coming Rav Yashiv and say, he gives a hechsher on the Mizbeach. It's in the right spot. It's coming another Rav, let's say Rav Yosef, and say, no, I think it has to be 5 yards away. It's coming another Rav, let's say the Lubavitchers will come and say they have a kabbalah that has to be there. It's coming the Satmar and they say it has to be there. It's a Sachtan. There'll be a Mashiach that when he'll say something, all the Yidden are going to listen to him. All the Yidden are going to listen to him. Isn't that the biggest Meifus in the world? You need a bigger Meifus than that. Who make all the Yidden keep the Torah and he's in the build of Beis Hamikdash and they're all going to agree with him. There'll be the Sati Shalom Ba'aretz, like the Prophet says. That's the greatness of the Rambam's Mashiach. No Meifsim, no nothing, but he'll get all the Yidden to come to Eretz Yisrael and he'll build a Beis Hamikdash that all the Yidden will worship in that Beis Hamikdash. That's the biggest Meifus, and it's a much bigger Mashiach than what the Rabbi was talking about. That gives them have a very nice summer with Haflach and Bracha and Siyata Deshmaya, a summer full of Yiras Shemayim and Limud HaTorah and Haflach and Ruchnias and Negashmias, get strong, prepare for another Zman of learning. When Mashiach will come here, and I'll see you near Mashiach's Beis Hamikdash.